Hi, and welcome to English-Fabule. Are you learning English? Great. Let's learn English with a very interesting story. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. Let's get started.
Imagine you stretch a rubber band and hang a small weight from it. Now gently warm the rubber band, perhaps with your hand or a hairdryer. What do you expect to happen? Most materials get bigger and weaker when they are heated, but a stretched rubber band does the opposite. It contracts, getting shorter, and pulls the weight up more strongly. This is a very unusual and special quality of rubber. This strange behavior is not a magic trick. It shows us how rubber works differently from most other materials. When a stretched rubber band gets warm, its tiny parts want to return to a more mixed-up state. This makes the rubber pull back harder and get shorter. This unique property is why rubber is so important in our daily lives. Rubber is hidden in many essential things. It is in the tires of our cars, trucks, and airplanes, helping them to drive and land safely. It makes the belts that move machines in factories. Rubber seals stop water from leaking in our homes and gas from escaping in engines. In hospitals, doctors and nurses use rubber gloves and tubes every day. From the soft soles of our shoes to the parts that absorb shocks in trains, rubber keeps our modern world working smoothly and quietly. However, there is a big risk. Most of the natural rubber we use comes from just one type of tree, called the Brazilian rubber tree. This reliance on a single source creates a dangerous situation. Experts warn that a global threat to these trees could cause serious problems for everyone. If this important material becomes scarce, it could affect many industries. Cars might not have tires, machines might stop working, and essential medical supplies could run out. This quiet danger could change how we live, unless we find solutions. 2. The first rubber. Many thousands of years ago, in the warm forests of Brazil, people discovered a very special tree. When they made a cut in its bark, a milky white liquid flowed out. This liquid was called latex, and it was the first form of rubber known to humans. The ancient people of Mesoamerica, in what is now Mexico and Central America, learned about this latex. They found that when the liquid dried, it became a flexible, strong material that could keep water out. They used this amazing discovery in many ways. For example, they made clothes and shoes that were waterproof, helping them stay dry in the rain. They also molded the dried latex into bouncing balls for their popular games. These rubber balls were central to their culture and rituals, showing how clever these early users of rubber were. Centuries later, the strange, bouncy material found its way to Europe. In the 1770s, an English scientist named Joseph Priestley made an interesting observation. He discovered that a small lump of this dried latex could rub away pencil marks from paper. This useful action gave the material its common English name, rubber. Soon, people became very interested in this new substance. However, rubber, in its natural, unprocessed form, had major weaknesses. It was not the strong, reliable material we use today. When the weather was hot, early rubber goods would become soft and sticky, sometimes even melting. Imagine trying to wear shoes that turn to goo in the summer sun. On the other hand, in cold temperatures, the rubber became very stiff and hard. It could easily crack and break. Also, if you left a piece of raw rubber alone, it would slowly change its shape over time, unable to keep its form. These problems meant that for a long time, rubber was interesting but not truly practical for everyday items. It needed something more to become useful for the world. 3. How rubber works. To understand how rubber works, we need to look very closely at its tiny parts. Rubber is made of very long chains of molecules. These chains are not straight at all. Instead, imagine them like many pieces of cooked spaghetti in a bowl, all tangled up together. They are naturally coiled and messy. When you pull or stretch a rubber band, you are pulling on these countless long chains. As you stretch, these tangled chains start to uncoil and straighten out. They become more ordered and line up in the direction you are pulling them, much like gently combing tangled necklaces into an ordered line. This movement makes the rubber feel tight and resistant. But why does rubber always bounce back to its original shape so quickly and strongly? This amazing ability is because of something scientists call entropy. Simply put, entropy means that things in nature tend to move towards a disordered or messy state. For rubber's molecule chains, their natural, most probable state is to be coiled and tangled. The stretched, straight, and ordered state is not their preferred way to be. So, these molecules are constantly trying to return to their messy, jumbled coils. This strong desire to return to disorder is the main reason why rubber snaps back with such force. Now, let's think about the strange experiment we learned about earlier. When a stretched rubber band gets warmer, it pulls back even harder. This interesting behavior is also directly linked to how its molecules behave. When you add heat to a stretched rubber band, you give its molecules more energy. This extra energy makes them vibrate and move around much faster and with more force. With this increased energy, the molecules become even more active. This makes them more eager to return to their natural, tangled, and disordered state. Because they want to be disordered so much, the chains pull back with more strength when they are hot. So, heat actually helps the rubber molecules pull back harder into their messy, coiled positions. This unique quality, where heat makes stretched rubber contract, makes it a truly special and essential material for many things in our modern world. 4. Making rubber strong. Early rubber had a big problem. In heat, it melted into a sticky mess. In cold, it turned hard and broke easily, making it hard to use. This meant it was not suitable for many important uses. Charles Goodyear spent many years trying to fix this problem. He faced much hardship, even going to prison for debts. He mixed rubber with many things, always searching for a solution, but most experiments failed. Then, in the winter of 1839, a key accident occurred. Goodyear dropped rubber mixed with sulfur onto a hot stove. It did not melt. Instead, it charred a little, but became hard and strong, unlike any rubber he had seen before. It did not melt or become brittle. This accidental discovery was a breakthrough. Goodyear found how to make rubber strong and reliable. The process was named vulcanization, after the Roman god of fire, Vulcan. Vulcanization works by heating rubber with sulfur. This creates tiny links, like small bridges, between the rubber's long molecule chains. These links stop the chains from sliding past each other easily. This makes vulcanized rubber stronger, more elastic, and able to stretch far and bounce back. Because of vulcanization, rubber no longer melted in heat or cracked in cold. It became a trusted material. This discovery turned rubber from a difficult substance into a very important material for industry. It was used for car tires, machine belts, and many other useful products. Makers could change sulfur and heat to create soft rubber for tires or hard rubber for combs. This made rubber an essential part of modern life. 5. The rubber boom. The invention of strong, reliable rubber changed the world. Industries everywhere needed this new material. Cars needed tires. Machines needed parts. People wanted waterproof clothes and shoes. Because of this, there was a huge demand for rubber in the 1800s. At first, most of the world's rubber came from the Amazon rainforest in Brazil. Workers there collected liquid latex from wild rubber trees. This made some towns in Brazil, like Manaus, very rich. Manaus even built a beautiful opera house with money from rubber. But harvesting rubber in the wild was hard. The trees were far apart, and many local people were forced to work in terrible conditions, suffering greatly. Other countries, especially Great Britain, did not like that Brazil controlled almost all the rubber supply. In 1876, a man named Henry Wickham took 70,000 rubber tree seeds from Brazil. He did this secretly, hiding the seeds on a ship. This act was like stealing important plant secrets. He took the seeds to England. From England, these special seeds were sent to different places in Southeast Asia. Countries like Ceylon, which is now Sri Lanka, and Malaya, which is now Malaysia, had good weather for rubber trees. There, people started huge farms called plantations. On these plantations, rubber trees were planted in neat, straight rows, very close together. This made it much easier and faster to collect the latex. A botanist named Henry Nicholas Ridley helped these plantations grow. He taught people how to tap the trees for latex without hurting them. His methods worked very well. By the 1930s, almost 90% of the world's natural rubber came from these new plantations in Asia. Brazil's rubber trade almost stopped, and its rich towns became quiet. But there was a big hidden problem with these new plantations. Most of the rubber trees in Asia were grown from the same group of seeds that Henry Wickham had taken. To make sure all trees grew well and produce a lot of latex, farmers used copies of the best trees. This meant that nearly all the rubber trees on these huge farms were genetically almost the same. This is called a monoculture. This sameness meant that the global rubber supply was in danger. If a strong disease or fungus appeared that could hurt one rubber tree, it could easily spread and hurt all of them. This hidden weakness made the world's rubber supply very fragile, like having all your eggs in one basket. 6. A big danger. Rubber trees face a very big danger from a bad fungus. This fungus is called South American leaf blight, or SALB. It lives mainly in South America, where it is native. This fungus makes rubber trees very sick and can easily kill them. First, the fungus puts dark spots, called lesions, on the leaves. Then, it causes the leaves to fall off the tree. This process repeats many times. Each time, the tree uses a lot of energy to grow new leaves. Slowly, the rubber tree gets weaker and weaker over time. In the end, the tree becomes too tired and dies completely. This blight is a very serious threat to all natural rubber trees. Many years ago, in the 1930s, Henry Ford wanted to grow his own rubber. He made a huge farm in the Amazon rainforest of Brazil called Fordlandia. He planted thousands of rubber trees very close together. This was a big mistake. The SALB fungus, common in the Amazon, easily found Ford's trees. Because they were so close, the disease spread extremely fast. Soon, all the trees at Fordlandia were sick and died. Henry Ford's big dream failed completely. This sad story showed how dangerous SAB is when many rubber trees are planted together. Today, most of the world's natural rubber comes from large farms in Southeast Asia. These farms have millions of rubber trees, but almost all of these trees are very similar to each other. This makes them easy targets for new diseases. The SALB fungus is still mainly found in South America. However, there is a very big worry that it could travel across the ocean to Asia. The tiny parts of the fungus, called spores, can move easily. They can travel through the air, on people's clothes, or hidden in packages. If SLB reaches the rubber farms in Asia, it could spread quickly and kill a huge number of rubber trees. This would be a terrible disaster for the world's supply of natural rubber, which we use every day for many things. Countries in Asia have very strict rules and careful checks. They look at everything coming from America very carefully to try and stop the blight from ever arriving. A few years ago, in 2019, a different disease caused problems for rubber. A new fungus started in Thailand and spread fast among rubber trees. This disease went to 7 countries. It affected millions of trees and caused 10% less rubber to be made the next year. The disease was spreading quickly, but then the world had the COVID-19 pandemic. Many people stopped traveling and fewer planes flew. This made the disease spread much slower. If the pandemic had not happened, the damage to rubber trees could have been much worse. This showed how easily diseases can become a global problem for rubber, and how easily we could lose this important material. 7. Finding other rubbers. When World War II started, a very serious problem began. Japan cut off the United States from almost all its natural rubber supply. This meant there was not enough rubber for tires on military trucks and airplanes, which was a big threat to the war effort. Because of this urgent need, the U.S. government quickly started a huge program. They wanted to create rubber in factories rather than relying on trees. This important project cost a lot of money, equal to billions of dollars today. It led to the invention of a new material called synthetic rubber, specifically styrene butadiene rubber, or SBR. New factories were built very quickly across the country. By the end of the war, the United States could make hundreds of tons of this new rubber each year without needing a single rubber tree. Synthetic rubber, such as SBR, is made from chemicals, usually styrene and butadiene. These chemicals often come from crude oil refining. Synthetic rubber works well for many uses. For example, it is often more resistant to wearing out than natural rubber. However, there are key differences between the two. Natural rubber has a special, very precise molecular structure. This structure lets its tiny parts, called polymer chains, line up perfectly when stretched. When they line up, they form small, strong crystals. This process makes natural rubber much tougher and stronger. Synthetic rubber does not have this perfect structure. Its molecules are mixed up, so they cannot form these strong crystals as well when stretched. Scientists have tried hard, but they still cannot perfectly copy this special quality of natural rubber in a factory. This unique ability of natural rubber to strengthen itself when stretched makes it absolutely necessary for products that need to be extremely strong and reliable. Think about airplane tires, for instance. They must endure very cold temperatures high in the air, and then face extreme heat and pressure when landing on the runway. A large airplane can weigh many hundreds of tons, and each tire takes on a massive amount of weight. Natural rubber's ability to become stiffer when stressed, to resist cracks from growing, and to stay together even after big temperature changes is crucial for an airplane tire to survive. Without natural rubber, airplane tires would not be safe. Even in car tires, the natural rubber part gives vital toughness. Today, most rubber, about 70%, is synthetic. But for critical jobs, natural rubber is irreplaceable. It is used in things like earthquake protection for buildings and some medical tools. Because of disease threats and allergies, scientists are looking for new natural sources. Dr. Katrina Cornish is a researcher working with the guayule plant, a desert shrub from the southwestern U.S. Guayule stores good quality rubber in its bark, which does not cause allergies and is safe from dangerous leaf diseases. It can grow in dry areas, offering a promising solution to keep our world supplied with this essential material. 8. What happens next? We have learned much about rubber. It is a truly special material. When a stretched rubber band gets warm, it pulls back even harder. This is different from most other materials. Rubber can stretch many times its length and then quickly return to its original shape. It is strong and waterproof. These unique qualities make rubber essential for our modern world. It is in the tires of our cars, trucks, and airplanes. It helps trains run smoothly. It is used in hospitals, in our homes, and in machines everywhere. However, there is a big problem. Most of the natural rubber we use comes from one type of tree, grown mainly in Southeast Asia. These trees are almost all the same, genetically. This means they are very weak against diseases. A dangerous fungus called the South American leaf blight could spread to these farms. If this happens, it could destroy most of the world's natural rubber supply. Experts like Dr. Katrina Cornish have warned this could cause a complete global societal meltdown. Nikki Hirschberger says it could be a national security issue. We need new ideas and different sources for rubber. Scientists are trying to make better rubber in factories. But synthetic rubber does not always have the same special strengths as natural rubber, especially for critical uses like airplane tires. Researchers are also looking for new plants that can make rubber, such as the guayule plant. This plant grows in dry places and is safe from the leaf blight. It also does not cause allergies like some natural rubber. Our future depends on solving this quiet problem now, before it becomes a big crisis. We must find more ways to get rubber and protect the supply we have. This means having better ways to stop diseases and growing different kinds of rubber plants in new places. It will take human cleverness and hard work to keep our world moving. What everyday item do you think would be most affected if we ran out of natural rubber?
Hey there! Just a second before you go. If you learned something new today, please give this video a like, write your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second, and it really, really helps to create even better English videos for you. Your support means the world. Thank you.